If you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. Well, it is time to fill our raised beds. We recently constructed 3 4-foot wide by 8-foot long by 10-inch high raised beds with treated 2x10 lumber. We've received our 7 yards of compost from Blue Ribbon Organics. That is a locally manufactured compost facility here in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. They are also, a disclaimer, a sponsor of our Garden Talk radio show in the Milwaukee market as well. So we've got 7 yards. We do not need all 7 yards for the 3 4x8 raised beds. Those will take about a yard apiece. The additional compost will be used to top dress our 5 beds in which we had constructed last year, just topping them off with about 1 inch of compost. And we've got a pallet raised bed we will construct, and then the rest will be for other additional containers, raised beds, and projects of the garden in the gardening genre there. So this is a compost, not a raised bed mix. You can use both. We've used both, and both work fine. We chose the compost because it was slightly cheaper per yard. If you're going to construct any volume of raised beds, you want to look at a bulk material availability in your area. Call your local garden center or ask your friends if they have a recommendation that can be delivered to your facility, your property, wherever your raised beds are. Simply because, taking a round number, a 1 cubic bag of good compost that you'd buy at your garden center or your big box store, let's say it's $10 to $15. Let's just say $10 to make it easy. You will need 27 of them to fill one of these beds. That's $270. That's 1 cubic yard. A cubic yard is 27 cubic feet. This whole pile costs slightly above $270. This is 7 yards of compost here. So if you're just doing a small couple of containers, that would make sense to buy the bag. If you're doing large quantities, definitely go with the bulk material. Now there is a delivery charge, and that is still much more cost effective. So we're going to fill our wheelbarrows up. A couple of ways in which you can do this. You can do it like I'm doing it, 1 shovelful at a time. With the higher levels here of this, we can do it a little different. We can kind of pull and use gravity to our advantage and then twist it up, top it off that way. We'll fill our beds and then we'll go back to our raised beds to fill them. But let's look at the preparation which we have before we start filling those raised beds. So here is one of the 4x8 raised beds. The other 2 are there. The patch in the middle, that's where our asparagus bed is at, and that's why there's nothing in front of where you're standing. So what we have done is we've just placed these directly on the ground. We've not worried about leveling them at all because plants are going to grow whether it's level or not, and if it's important to you to get everything level, then go right ahead. We have made sure that everything's off the fence of the adjacent property evenly, so it does look nice and it does match with the appeal there. So we've taken cardboard boxes and put 2 to 3 layers of cardboard down in the hopes that this will help slow some of the more invasive weeds that we have. We've done this up on the high end of our other raised beds. Showed promise in some areas, in other areas it didn't. But we're going to do this. This is not going to hurt anything. This will break down over the course of this growing season. The other thing is, if you've got a lot of tape on these boxes, we've ordered a lot of stuff online over the last year, you can try to remove as much of that tape as possible. However, it's not going to be detrimental to the production of your plants, of the soil, or of the earthworms if you leave them on there. Eventually everything will break down. At some point you're going to find it and you're going to throw it away. So these are 1 cubic foot sized beds. 8 foot by 4 foot by 10 inches is 1 square cubic foot, or 1 cubic yard, that is. So we're just going to start filling the beds up, and that's part of the grunt work of this, but it will be greatly rewarding at the end. Now, the reason that moved was because we didn't do something on these beds that we did on the high-end beds or the other beds. Typically on the other beds we put a stabilizing 2x4 here to prevent the beds from bowing out and also prevent them from doing what just happened there when I put the soil in. We didn't do it on these beds because we just didn't see the benefit of using extra lumber and time and all that. So we're gonna get these beds filled up, and then we'll talk about additional maintenance to these beds in order to get them to last longer and to help keep the soil healthier. Okay, after a tedious amount of work, we did get the raised beds filled. We've got the 3 raised beds here filled, each with about a cubic yard of soil. Now, this is compost, not raised bed mix. There's not a whole lot of difference between the two. Typically, a raised bed mix has a few more bark chips, a little bit of sand mixed in, a little bit of topsoil mixed in. This is just pure compost. If you wanted to add those amendments, you could certainly do that. What we will next do is, this is ready to plant. Now, based on the time of year and what you're planting, these can either set fallow for a few more weeks, or they can be planted right away. Do keep in mind that no matter how much you think you've got it leveled, it will settle somewhat. That's just the nature of the product of anything. So what we can do next is take leaves. We've got a lot of leaves stored up, or if you've got straw or chemical-free, seed-free grass clippings, we'll cover the top. And this prevents 2 things from happening. It prevents the soil from drying out, as well it kind of puts a barrier over it to keep it from getting weathered. If you've seen soil that's been exposed all winter long or all summer long, you can see it's very dry, very pale, and doesn't look very healthy. So we want to do this, cover this up. Now, when we're planting, for the instance of, let's say, leaf lettuce, and we're going to direct sow that, or peas or radishes, we will designate an area, clean it up, clean back the mulch, or the mulch here, direct sow, water it in, and then gently cover that over, just enough to hold that moisture in, but not so much it impedes the growth of those seeds. So, raised beds, it is an investment, yes. However, it is an investment that will pay you back year after year with a minimal amount of weeding and work compared to what it would normally take for you to get your in-ground garden prepared. Thanks for watching. Join me again next time for more organic gardening, seed starting, and garden tips. I'm Joy Baird. Remember to rate, subscribe, and comment.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.